Okay guys, so updates on the shop since I was gone. You guys were kind of traveling with me. Let's see what happened while we were gone here. Juan had his new JDM VVTi motor delivered right before we left. In the meantime, Vicha took it apart, so this is his block. It's not new, but it's new to Juan. It's a perfectly good used JDM. We're gonna use this one to bore it 20 over, so we can put the bigger pistons. He's doing 10-to-1 high compression pistons because he's gonna run E85 most of the time, and then he'll probably run some street gas or just pump gas. I mean, but then we got billet main caps from Real Street, and then those are in here. Pretty cool. So those will be on a stock crank, but see them in there, billet main caps. You guys have seen me use the billet main caps on all my builds. Real Street ones are been like a good go-to for me. There's many companies that make them, but Real Street has them in stock always, and no issues. They're easy to get in and out. Less machining takes place. Actually, zero machining. You just have to line bore it, so line hone it. So we do that. Then we got ARP mains and main studs and head studs. So these will go with his build. We're waiting on the Brian Crowder internals and the CP piston. They'll be here soon. That's an update on Juan's car. Just more parts. His car's gonna take a while to do because we're doing real high quality build, nice parts, built motor. Not fully stroked because that's unnecessary. I'm trying to find better light. But the high compression, fully built head and ported head, and then hopefully if he lets us, we upgrade. He does want to do a bigger turbo, so that's a good sign, but hopefully we can do a couple other things like that. Like maybe intake manifold if Juan lets us, and possibly exhaust manifold, and then new injectors because his stuff was just really outdated. Hopefully he can, you know, kind of refresh everything so it's just solid setup and reliable and lots of horsepower and responsive. Okay, so that's that car. Then we had Rod's car. We put the new water pump in. We had to pull all this stuff apart, put a new water pump and upper water neck, and we just gave him a new used one, or like sold him a used one but new to him. Welded these shut. Then we had to reclock this, cut one of the welds back here, and so that with the new turbo, it sat a little different. It wasn't centered in his fender exit, so now it's kind of centered just how he had it before with the other turbo. His injectors are at Deech Works right now. We dropped them off in person when we were there, so they're getting cleaned. They're gonna get shipped back to us, and we'll put his upper intake manifold and really kind of button this side up. We also installed a new fuel level sending unit and rewired the top of this part for his fuel pumps. This was like a donor part. We were able to steal this fuel sending unit off of it. He had a broken pedal stop for his brake, so we were able to fix that, just like getting his car going. But the car that you really want to see maybe is Rory's car. So we don't have doors yet for it, so we put these 2016 doors off my car. Got a little damage on there, but we need them to line up the wide body fenders. So this is how, with us lining this up, we'll kind of get it set, and then we'll be able to float the headlights and use like a clamp to just hold the bumper on here, and then we start building the structure around it so that we don't build the structure in the wrong spot where it makes it harder for us to make hood mounts and so forth with things like that. So just kind of getting started here on Rory's front end body work. The back's already good to go, and we could do the side skirt soon too, but the front end's probably the hardest part to line everything up because you got like 5-6 pieces you got to line up pretty good. It'd be 6 pieces actually. And then inside we had mounted the pedal set already, and then that had been mounted a long time ago. We had to remove stuff because Joe was welding in, like how we did that right there. That holds the pedals, and there's 3 positions so you can move it forward, backwards, and if you want to go, you can't go down, but if you want to go up, you could space it and put a spacer in between the through bolts that go in there. So that's pretty cool. And then also while we were gone, Joe finished rear bash bar. We had talked about this. He had to trim a little higher on this guy to fit the bash bar, same as how my car is. Then he did like the rear arms that hold the outer part of the fender so it can't flop around at high speeds. So back here is pretty good to go on like the little structures, but still got plumbing and some more stuff in there for the, what's it called, overflow section. He's not done with it, but this guy here, gotta weld the bottom shut, put the cap on here, and then the bleeders and stuff like that. But here, take a look at this. It's pretty cool for the pedal set. We're gonna also do that same style in Brett's car soon. We're just putting more effort into Rory's car at the moment. Brett's car will probably be next week, maybe the following week. He also has Willwood pedal set like that. And then I think there was a couple other things we did. Another car showed up while you guys were gone and I was gone. It's been here before. If you've been following the channel for a long time, you'll know. It's Alan Katap's car. It's a pretty well-known car. If you're on Instagram and you're into Supras, you've seen this car before. We had done tons of the work to it at the beginning of when it got started and stuff on the engine bay side. Cage we didn't get to do, but we did some wiring, ECU, we got it ready for the base map, and we did a lot of stuff under the engine bay. Let's pop the hood so you guys can kind of take a look. So he has a Doc Race exhaust manifold, but then he didn't want hood exit, so we did like this snake pipe for his dump tube, which was kind of cool to do. And we individually wrapped everything with PTB heat wrap, like their turbo blanket heat wrap. So that was another cool thing. We kind of did all these PTP heat protection products and all that stuff. We did AN line on the top for the radiator and the bottom. You can see down in there, you can kind of see that AN fitting. And then he's saying he needs us to clean his injectors. If he would have got here earlier, we would have been able to bring the injectors with us because we stopped at Detroit's, but it just didn't work out. Alan's busy working like all the time to pay for a Supra. That's what happens when you have a Supra. You work a lot so you can buy more parts for it. Anyways, got here after we had left, so we're gonna take them out and ship them back as soon as we can. But walking over here to this car, got another Willwood pedal set installed down on the floor on this one. This is just mocked up and tacked in. It's not like finalized, but this is how it'll look. And then we'll make a spot to mount the reservoirs up in the engine bay, I would think, most likely. We haven't finalized that yet. And then we'll make some XRP brake lines that tie into front and rear and make everything happen. But this also has this electric throttle pedal installed. Probably have a little bit more mounting to do on this one, but it's pretty cool that we get to do this wide variety of different race car stuff here. Like, never would have thought you'd be installing pedal sets on 3 cars in the same week, but I guess you just keep plugging away and then you get to do more and more and more cool car stuff. And for me and the guys that work here, this is like kind of what we love doing this stuff, so it's fun for us. Alright, that's a quick update on everything. We'll get more in depth as we move forward with each project. This Supra, we just did like compression checking and look for leaks, and then we update the customer on it. His name's Fu, so we're gonna update Fu and tell him we found these leaks here, here, and here. We found stuff like this. He knew about this cracked wire and stuff like that. He just wants to make this like up to par so he can go rip it around a little bit, and maybe if we're lucky he'll build it into a grip race car, because he said he wanted to do that, which would be super cool. Super cool. Alright, talk to you guys later. Gonna get back to stuff. Oh, this one Is there any major updates on this one?
Nope.
Right now he's doing some HPS silicone vacuum lines to a 3-port Mac valve that tees in with Wastegate and boost reference here, and then I think he did the same over here. He plumbed some vacuum line onto this tile wastegate, or tile blow-off valve. Maybe the other stuff was all wiring to the ECU that he was working on while we were gone. Oh, he did some water feed and return out of the turbo, and then covered it with some PTP heat shielding, XRP crimp lines, that stuff. This car is getting closer to where we can do the startup, and then we'll find out if there's any more surprises from the previous shop, which is not our favorite thing to find, because like we didn't install the trans or the clutch, things like that. It could be super simple and great, but it could be you get to pull stuff off that you kind of already had done, which is what we don't want to have happen. So let's cross our fingers that doesn't happen. All right guys, gonna go back in the office and get caught up on ordering a couple more parts. So we are in the middle of doing subframe stuff over here, lots of it. This is how we're gonna do the front end here. We'll show you some stuff later, but the stock diff out of Rory's car is out. Knocked the subframe bushings out, which is literally the world's easiest car to take apart.
Yeah.
Is a Toyota Supra. Yeah. So buy a Supra, but they're expensive, so you probably won't. But you just tap that with a hammer, it comes out. You like grab this with your pinky finger, it comes out.
Yeah.
But if you have an S chassis, you're probably wanting to kill yourself, because S chassis don't come out that easy. Or BMWs. The one thing that's not easy on a Toyota subframe is this guy. NA Supras don't have a second bushing. TT will have 2 bushings. Okay, so yeah, that's gonna be the hard one, get that out. Vita's gonna work on that here in a second. We're replacing the whole setup here with the Titan Motorsports hard mount kit, and then we're gonna do the weld-in style here and here. But in the meantime, while we're doing that, Connor's cleaning a lot of brake clean out of our gear oil with brake clean out of this rear diff, so that he can then make little weld-in place. We'll weld it all together and have a welded diff. That's the cheaper way of doing that rear end stuff. We're gonna do that for the time being, and then later, if Rory wants to, he could buy LSD for that same setup, but that's a way of saving like $1,700 from buying, let's say, OS Beacon or something like that. So he's gonna do that first, and we'll reinstall it, then we'll weld in those rear bushings. And then we'll put the subframe back in later. We'll switch the arms, but you can switch the arms when it's on a lift in the car. It doesn't have to have the subframe out, so that's the plan right now. Going back to the front. Oh, we got the pedals back in. Boom. Those are all welded in place. Let's look at that. Because this is really cool. You like these doors? Yeah. Okay, so, ooh, cool. This is the 3 position I was telling you about. If you had a taller person, you could move it further back, barely, without hitting these guys up here. And then if you had a shorter person, you can move it forward. But they're kind of right in between. They're a similar placement to where mine were. We have to make this touch. It's like that on my car, so that if you need to do heel toe, you can still get your foot to do it. And then we installed that back in so you could see it. This is welded in. This is welded all in. So everything's kind of good on that part. Then we're doing the front end stuff we are doing now. So then Joe will make the front hoop, and then he will like tack it in place, and then we'll decide the height of where we're gonna do it and hold the headlights. This part's quite tedious, time consuming, and has to be just right or the front of your car will look like crap. So you gotta spend way too much time aligning stuff when you kind of how we did in the back, but the front's even harder because it's more like floating out there. Before we were to make a bash bar or something, and then we cut up his front little support piece for the front bumper and headlights, which we also have to make float in this area here. You guys have seen us do this before on the front of my Supra, maybe at least once, maybe twice. So we're gonna do that to his car now.
Gotta lube it up, man.
Joe's just getting this lubed up. Is it smooth? Can I touch it?
Yeah, if you like.
Oh, it's slippery.
Yeah,
I like it.
I use Vaseline.
Alright. So, Joe's doing some pipe work here, laying pipe. Alright. That's the update on that stuff really quick. I thought it would be cool to show you guys after we had all those pieces and the subframe out. We'll come back to it maybe after some of the stuff's about to go back in. It'd be cool if it was like, whoa, look at the Czech Republic guy smoking while doing that. It's funny, huh? He looks like a pirate almost. A wild pirate with a cigarette dangling out of his mouth. It'd be cool if we had a time lapse of everything, but we don't have the equipment for that yet, and I have to like be running back and forth from the office and ordering stuff and talking to people and emailing, and then they're working, so it's harder to do that. Eventually though, we will have that dialed in for you guys and it'll be really cool. What's up guys? So this is our first week back from St. Louis, and like I said, we kind of jump right back into stuff and get caught up on whatever we can, and what needs to be taken care of first, and then all of a sudden I forget to film some of the stuff. But well, so the shop is like, it's my full-time job, and we got to keep the shop going so that we can go racing and so that we get to do the stuff that we do. So yeah, it's been a busy week, I guess. Hopefully you guys enjoyed what we kind of like went over on Rory's Supra and a couple of the other Supras, little updates on stuff. We do have more stuff that happened to Brendan's 2JZ since I last turned the camera on. Brendan has the Tacoma X Runner that we're JZ swapping. He lives up in Washington, in my hometown of Paulsbo. Very weird, but we didn't know each other then. He knows one of my friends I went to high school with. But it's just strange that now there's a car that came all the way from my small hometown, and now it's at the shop because probably because of TJZ stuff or Supras or maybe drifting, maybe YouTube, I don't know. It's just really cool. But we put a Borg Warner EFR 7670 on there, which is a little one that will make, I say little, but it's not really little. It's not like stock little. It's just like a 500 horsepower max out turbo on a JZ, stock JZ, with the 85. Without the 85, it's more like a 460 probably horsepower, but it's like instant horsepower. Like you step on the gas and it's like a V8 all the way to redline. It's like kind of the coolest setup that you could do with an EFR on a JZ, just like the bolt-on solution. So we're excited about that. I should probably run out there and show you guys the update on that one, because we put a rear sump oil pan on it, we put the log manifold on, and some Detroit injectors, radium fuel rail, and it's now right now we're mating up a Collins adapter kit for a CD09 trans. So we'll run out there in a second, and then I'll try and cover as much of that as we can that I maybe hadn't in the last video. Yeah, I don't think we talked about it in the last video, but I try and share as much of the stuff with you guys, but it's just sometimes I get caught up with all just the busyness of running the shop and everything else. But hope you enjoyed it, and more updates coming next week, and I'll have a little more energy to like follow each project, and we got to do more interaction stuff where I'll ask you guys questions and then you guys answer, or maybe vice versa. Alright guys, let's go check out that 2JZ. Oh, there's noises, shop noises, and Supras. Okay, was on the motor stand, but we have it kind of resting with the forklift right now because to mate the motor to the trans, you can't do that on a motor stand. Okay, so here's the smaller Borg Warner EFR. It's one size down, still T4 flange, and it's just one size down from the, what's it, Focus? Oh, from the 8374. Still has a decent size AR in the rear, 1.05, because you need that to get your higher RPMs, still making boost. But what we did here on this hard line, cool little way we do it is we always block this off, we block that off, but then we welded a stainless -6 bung on the down part here, like underside, not down, the underside, because we could have used this to feed coolant into the turbo, but we're still gonna, on Brendan's truck, he wants to utilize heater core still. So this will feed the heater core, this will return the heater core, and then this will feed the turbo with water, and then we return the water back up here. So we did our little mods here, and then reassembled this stuff. And then we also did the oil feed line down here. All these are XRP crimp lines with PTFE line. He might not have specified what he wanted, so we just go with the most durable because this car is going to leave the state and we don't want him to ever have issues. So we did the really nice crimp race, the race crimp, said that backwards, with PTFE line and stainless. We could have done like the other coatings on the outside, but the stainless is the most durable. So that's why we'll use that in situations that needs to last longer. The other one is quite durable still, but it's lighter weight maybe, or there's different, each one serves its own purpose. And then we have a Turbo Smart Hypergate 45 on the top here. We'll make a dump for it, and we'll make downpipe here, but we'll wait till it's in the truck. And then we found, it was hard to find, but we found another used rear sump oil pan. These are just getting harder and harder to find because so many swaps are happening lately. So everyone's just taking those, and it's becoming almost impossible to find. Makes us a little sad because we like working with 2Js, and now it's like can't even find the parts we need. And then here you have the Collins adapter, flywheel, and then clutch setup with the ACT single disc, and then this is the adapter plate, and then we have 350Z CD009. I think it's actually 002, huh? They each have different numbers depending on the year, but according to Brett Collins, he wanted me to use this one, so we got this generation one. It's a little tiny bit cheaper. These are actually becoming hard to find too. It took me a couple weeks to find that. It's like everyone's just doing swaps and using them and then breaking them and running out of stuff. Then we have these Deechworks 1000cc injectors, and then we have the Radium fuel rail. All of it just kind of bolts right in place. We put a K&N oil filter on here, and then we haven't put the upper intake manifold on because we still have to do the drift motion drive-by-wire delete little piece that they make. We got to put that in the throttle body, and then we need to rewire each pigtail on the stock harness for this style of injector clip, not these ones that are on the stock JZ harness from Aristo. So we got some wiring to do, a little bit of other stuff to do, mechanical work, then we'll have that on. Then when it's mated together, we will be trying to, we'll be making motor mounts, and the truck will be in here, and that'll be probably the next time we film on that truck. But for now, just wanted to update you on that because it's kind of been a little bit quiet on that project because it just hadn't started yet. We were accumulating parts, and the cool thing is he's doing like really nice parts on it. He didn't like skimp too much. It's all locked up in here, but it's got nice Momo seats. He did this custom dash, I'll show you, with like a couple of gauges. We'll show you all that stuff. once the truck's inside the shop, probably next week or the following week that we get back on it. Well, it'll be next week, I bet. And then, yeah, that's it for right now, because we already showed you Rory's car, I believe. Maybe you didn't see one or so things, but we're gonna update you next video on Rory's car. Alright guys, gotta get back to some stuff in the office, and then probably make another video in like 1 or 2 days. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Don't forget, Rad merch is on our website, Rad Parts Store, and if you want to buy parts for your modified car, don't forget to check out radpartsstore.com. Alright, see you guys.